Sure. That'll have to do. Well, welcome aboard. Welcome one, welcome all. Come on in, have a seat. Grab a chair, grab your favorite beverage. I got mine right here, which is iced tea. Iced tea, iced coffee. Iced tea is next. Iced coffee. I should have said your non alcoholic beverage. Grab your favorite non alcoholic beverage since this is a recovery channel, right? It's all about recovery. All right. And we are aware and convinced. Iced coffee. So, how is everybody today? I hope you had a good day today. Whatever you did, wherever you did it with, I hope it was a good time. I hope you enjoyed yourself, whether it was work. I hope it was a prosperous day for you. We had a good day today. Absolutely a good day for a change. We have had a rough go of it for the past. This past week was a little bit rough, but today was a good way to wrap up the week. It was good. The stock market bombed and I sold short. So there you go. The big short. So it was a good day today. What's new? How is everybody? Oh, let me get you up here. I almost missed you. Hold on just a second. Let's get you up here so I can see who's out there. Cash. Hi, Cash. Art. And nice to have you guys along. Ladies, guys, whoever's out there. I'm glad you're here. It's Friday night, and it's a good place to be on a Friday evening because we're sober, we're not out getting in trouble, causing trouble, and having to face those consequences that we did back in the day. Oh my gosh. I'm a recovered alcoholic. I drank for 40 plus years. And by the grace of God, I've had 5,000 days, over 5,000 days sober. I have an anniversary coming up this month. On Father's Day, it'll be 15 years for me. And that's a long time to go without a beer. But let me tell you, it has been well worth it. Well worth it. My life has changed over the past several years immensely. And if I was still out there using and abusing and all of that good stuff, all that bad stuff, I would probably not even be here now. I'd probably be 6 feet under, or maybe just in a canister somewhere. But no, by the grace of God, I've been sober now, and it's changed my life. And it can change your life too if you have an issue with an addiction. And it doesn't matter what your addiction is. You're welcome here, whether it's alcohol, drugs, food, porn, lusts, money, work, whatever. Whatever it is, you're welcome. So, yeah, we thought we'd get just a little bit of an early start tonight. Typically, we're on around 9 o'clock, but I thought I'd start a little bit early. I tried to tweak things up a little bit, but I'm not sure. I'm trying to figure out. If you bear with me just a second. Bear with. Oh, okay, there it is. All right. Okay. So we have dual stream now, so you can either do it portrait or horizontal. Good. That's good. So we just upgraded. So I like that. Oh yeah, I like that. That's good. All right. Okay, so let's go back here. How do we go back? I know we can go back. Yeah, there we are. Okay. Hello, Ray. Thank you for joining us tonight. Sorry for disappearing off the screen there for a minute. I'm checking out my monitors and everything else, trying to figure out if we have any technical issues tonight. And it looks like everything's going smoothly for a change. So, nice to have you along. Yeah, we're having a wild party in here tonight. So, it's Friday night, wild party night. Oh, those days are long gone, my friend. Long gone. So we talk a lot about addiction and recovery and how to get started. Over on my channel, I've got a few videos there that might have some valuable information for you, depending on what you're looking for in recovery. And yeah, so thanks for coming along. Thanks for being here. Okay, so what else is happening? What else is happening? You have to excuse me because I've been getting some allergies lately, and I've never had allergies before to anything. Well, I can't say anything. There were a few women that I knew along the way, but that's a different story. I was allergic to them as well as alcohol. But seriously, all of a sudden I got this. I've got these allergies, and I don't know where they came from. And mainly at night, and mainly when I'm on the stream. I don't know. Go figure. I can't figure it out. It won't be long, and my nose will get stuffed up, and my eyes will start to water, and I don't know. Maybe it's the electronosis in the room. I don't know. But anyway, we're fine now. So we're going to hang in for a while. And we've got some things to cover tonight. I know that my resources that I generally use, Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, available on Amazon. I think it's around $10 or $15 for that. If you can't afford a big book, go to an AA meeting. Typically, they have them available there. Sometimes they have the free versions. You know, people bring in duplicate books that they don't need, or whatever, and they'll be happy to give you one if you need one. And we also use the Big Blue Book NA, Narcotics Anonymous. And we're going to start to get into the NA book here very soon. Excellent reading, necessary. And right now, one of my favorites, Celebrate Recovery, Study Bible, Celebrate Recovery. If you look up any churches in your neighborhood, in your town, your city, quite a few churches now offer Celebrate Recovery as a group, just like AA or NA, Celebrate Recovery. And I know our church has it on Tuesday nights, and it's attended by hundreds. I don't know how many hundreds, but yeah, a large group of people for hurts, habits, and hangups. Doesn't matter what your particular flavor is. Everybody's accepted there. So it could be drugs, alcohol, again, you name it, and they will accept you and pray with you, and it's great. I did go to AA to get sober initially, and I spent years in AA, my formative sobriety years, and it was a wonderful experience. They're fantastic people. I had a sponsor there for a number of years. He's since passed away, but he was a great inspiration, not only to me, there were a lot of other people there at particular group that I went to, which was in West Palm Beach, Florida, and the Triangle Club, and a great club, great people, and as I say, that's where my sobriety started back there, and it was terrific. It was great. So, just a little background information on me. Um, so, what are we gonna do? Friday night. The Friday night fights. Now, if you're listening any other time, whether morning, afternoon, evening, overnight, or some other day, everything will be pretty much the same format. Nothing really changes. We don't do anything outrageous on each weeknight and over the weekend. Try to hit you up at the same time. So you're more than welcome, of course. And I am very grateful that you can come in and spend some time with me. So we'll get things started. One of the things that we were doing yesterday, which I thoroughly enjoyed and got a lot out of, we were reading through this book that I purchased about, I think it was about a year ago or 2 years ago. It's copyright to 2024. John C. Maxwell and Chris Hodges wrote this, Jesus, the High Road Leader. And it was on the New York Times best-selling list. Just a wonderful book. A lot of information. And I'm sure it's available on Amazon as well. And it's a great read. But we're going through it, and we're reading a chapter or two. And it's inspiring. It's in plain language, contemporary language, so it's easy to understand, and basically it just talks about how to be more Christian-like, I guess, if you could say that, more like Jesus was in his approach to people that were broken, hurting. And gosh, I think it's important. One of the things that struck me was how you can relate a lot of this to what's currently happening. And well, let's give it a shot here. We did chapter 1 and chapter 2 last night. Chapter 1 previously in the previous stream, so that would be 2 back. And this is number 3, third stream. And we're just going to read a little bit. This is by Chris Hodges. This particular chapter, Jesus gave more than he took. Chapter 3. From the book, Jesus, the High Road Leader, copyright 2024, from John C. Maxwell and Chris Hodges. So, giving more than you take is the core of taking the high road and being a servant leader. When you give more than you take, you exemplify the very nature of Jesus. This value provides the soil in which all the other high road values grow and flourish, yielding a heart that gives and a hand that is open. You can see this, the very first miracle performed at a wedding in Cana. I think that's how you pronounce it, or maybe Cana, C-A-N-A. The wine ran out, a terrible embarrassment for the bride and groom, along with their families. So Jesus intervened, blessed those who would otherwise have been embarrassed. When Jesus turned water into wine, Though he did more than perform a miracle, he revealed his high road nature as the Son of God who gives more than he takes. A place where people went to party to enjoy the best food and drink provided by the hosts became the setting where Jesus gave with divine generosity. The way Jesus consistently gave more than he took demonstrated his unconditional love, the same love displayed by his Father in sending Jesus. This is clear in one of the most familiar explanations of the gospel. For God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son. John 3:16. The very path of Jesus is the model for your calling as a high road leader. The call to get past yourself for the sake of those you serve through your leadership. God's word urges. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves, not looking to your own interests, but each of you to the interests of others. From Philippians 2:3-4. Jesus provided the context for this way of thinking when he said, so the last will be first, and the first will be last. Matthew 20:16. Probably the most profound teaching about giving more than you take isn't found in the Gospels. It's summed up by the Apostle Paul when he urged us to remember the words of Jesus himself. It is more blessed to give than to receive. Acts 20:35. The word translated here as blessed comes from the Greek word makarios, which literally means happy in the soul. This meaning is also a reminder that the opposite of generosity is misery. The word misery comes from the word miser. Yeah, we've heard that before. One who is stingy and unwilling to give at all. Think of Scrooge at the beginning of A Christmas Carol and the miserly attitude of his heart that motivated his terrible treatment of everyone around him. By the end of his Christmas Eve journey, Scrooge realized the personal and relational cost of clinging to his wealth. Something good gets released inside of you when you give. Letting go of the need to be self-sufficient, to hold on to what you've been entrusted to steward, eradicates misery from your life. You discover the joy that comes from being a blessing. As the message puts it, you'll not likely go wrong here if you keep remembering that our Master said, you're far happier giving than getting. Acts 20:35. Generosity is contagious. The value of your life isn't determined by how much you achieve or accumulate, but how much of your life you give away. And that word is accumulate. I could say that. But by how much of your life you give away. Winston Churchill understood this truth when he said, we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. There was a smart man. That's why the Bible encourages us to give more than we take. This kind of generosity not only stores up treasures in heaven, but also gives us the life that is truly abundant, full, and blessed. The Apostle Paul wrote, command them to do good, to be rich in good deeds, and to be generous and willing to share. In this way, they will lay up treasure for themselves as a firm foundation for the coming age, so that they may take hold of the life that is truly life. That's 1 Timothy 6:18-19. One of the best stories to illustrate the way Jesus gave more than he took occurred when Jesus washed the feet of the disciples on the night before he would be crucified. Jesus focused on giving to his followers in a way that would show them how to lead by serving. It's important to note that this is the only time in Scripture when Jesus explicitly tells us, I have given you an example to follow. Do as I have done to you. John 13:15. As the ultimate high road leader, Jesus emphasized how essential it is to give, making servanthood both the motive and the method for leadership. We might be tempted to think it was so easy for Jesus to give more than to take. After all, he's the Son of God. But this incredible scene of humility shows Jesus' willingness to put others first, even in the midst of his own needs. You know, he was carrying the pressure and weight of taking on the whole world's sins. That meant that he had tremendous needs of his own, but he still gave to his disciples at that time and gave us an example that remains timeless. John recounted what happened. It was just before the Passover festival. Jesus knew that the hour had come for him to leave this world and go to the Father. Having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end. The evening meal was in progress, and the devil had already prompted Judas, the son of Simon Iscariot, to betray Jesus. Jesus knew that the Father had put all things under his power and that he had come from God and was returning to God. So he got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with a towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus replied, "You do not realize now what I am doing, but later you will understand." "No," said Peter, "you shall never wash my feet." Jesus answered, "Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." "Then, Lord," Simon Peter replied, "not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well." Jesus answered, "Those who have had a bath need only to wash their feet. Their whole body is clean. And you are clean, though not every one of you." For he knew who was going to betray him. And that was why he said, not everyone was clean. When he finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. "Do you understand what I have done for you?" he asked them. "You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you. Very truly, I tell you, no servant is greater than his master, nor is a messenger greater than the one who sent him. Now that you know these things, you will be blessed if you do them." John 13, 1 through 17. Reading this account of Jesus' actions, I observe, and the I is Chris Hodges, one of the writers. I observe he gave because he knew who he was. He gave freely in love because of his identity and purpose. He gave even though Peter misunderstood his gift. He gave even though he knew Judas was going to betray him. Tremendous freedom comes from knowing who we are and what we are called to do. Seeing Jesus' example and how generous he was, we should be inspired to emulate him. Generosity is spiritually contagious. You have been treated generously, so live generously. That's from Matthew 10:8. Quite a lot there in that story. God, the ultimate giver. Our Heavenly Father modeled unfathomable generosity by giving his first and best when he gave his son Jesus to us. And that generosity does something in us. When we experience the limitless love and grace of Christ, we want to live out what we've been given and extend to others the same gift, the same opportunity to know the goodness and mercy of God. Generosity is spiritually contagious. You have been treated generously, so live generously. Matthew 10:8. When I first became a Christian, I was told I should give some of my resources back to God. Being young and innocent, I didn't question or resist it. I figured if that's what God asks of me, then I'm happy to do it as part of my identity. I never saw it as optional or obligatory. It was just essential and joyful. As John S. Bonnell said, if one first gives himself to the Lord, all other giving is easy. Over the years, as God has continued to bless me and entrust more to me, I've tried to expand my capacity for generosity and consistently increase my giving. Throughout the Bible, God asks his people to be givers. We are to return a portion of our income to him from our first fruits and to offer more as we grow in the gift of giving. I love giving because it identifies me in some small way with our great God. Everything about the nature of God is giving. In sharp contrast to the Lord's abundant giving, everything about the nature of the devil is taking. Interesting. Givers think only of what's in it for the other person, while takers only think of what's in it for themselves. Sound familiar? Anybody you know? Simply put, a sacrifice will always cost you something, while selfishness will always look to gain something. We see this stark contrast in an incident involving a very expensive gift offered to Jesus. A luxurious perfume used by a woman to wash Jesus' feet. Jesus received her lavish generosity even while those at the dinner party around him, including his own disciple Judas Iscariot, expressed contempt and concern. This event depicts one of the greatest expressions of love ever shown to Jesus and is one of the few scenes recorded in all four Gospels: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Jesus was eating at someone's house when a woman who was known to be a sinner poured expensive perfume on Jesus' feet, weeping over them and drying them with her hair. Her bold display created quite an issue with the spectators, who reacted in anger to that kind of woman being in their midst and the cost of the luxurious perfume. Judas asked, why wasn't this perfume sold and the money given to the poor? It was worth a year's wages. To make sure we understand Judas' motive, John said Judas wasn't concerned about the poor. He was the keeper of the money bag and liked to help himself from it. Sad reality is that Judas' attempt to discredit the woman and to profit himself backfired. This woman is forever remembered as the one who gave Jesus the last act of love before his death. Judas is forever remembered as the one who betrayed Jesus and brought the authorities to arrest him. Looking at the contrast between the two of them, it's evident you can't give what you haven't received. You can't express what you haven't experienced yourself, Jesus explained. Therefore, I tell you, her many sins have been forgiven, as her great love has shown. But he who has been forgiven little loves little. Our capacity for love gets expanded as we receive the love of God. We love because he first loved us. And here comes my allergies. Everyone is your neighbor. Everyone is your neighbor. To be a high road leader like Jesus, you must give more than you take, being open-handed and open-hearted. This quality also affects the way you see other people and your willingness to love them despite your differences. John already discussed the parable of the Good Samaritan in chapter 2. There we go. Sorry about that. Chapter 2, we talked about that yesterday, which is in my live archive. Jesus told that story not only to teach the importance of helping someone, but also to encourage his listeners to go out of their way to be generous and show kindness and care to a stranger in need. The story reveals the way that people tend to respond to those they encounter, and how we see people is how well we treat people. The thieves saw a victim to exploit. You may not be a robber, but sometimes we treat people the way these robbers did this traveler. We expect others to serve us and bend to our way of doing things. We use them along with their resources and contributions to fulfill our own self-enhancing agenda. In essence, we assume what's yours is mine and I'm going to take it. You know, that directly relates to recovery from an addiction. Doesn't matter what addiction it is, alcohol, drugs, whatever. That's how addicts behave. Directly, right there. The thieves, substitute the word addict, saw a victim to exploit. You may not be a robber, but sometimes we treat people the way these robbers did this traveler. Substitute the word addict with robber. We expect others to serve us and bend our way of doing things. We use them along with their resources and contributions to fulfill our own self-enhancing agenda. So true. In essence, we assume what's yours is mine and I'm going to take it. Yep. The priest and Levite saw a problem to avoid. They were too busy doing self-righteous work to stop and give to someone in need. Sometimes we can be just as indifferent. We justify not having time or money to help someone suffering right in front of us. We assume others will help them, and we tell ourselves, what's mine is mine, and I'm going to keep it that way. The Good Samaritan saw a person to be loved. He was willing to give his time, attention, money, care, and compassion to a stranger left for dead and ignored by others. He saw this traveler in need as a fellow human being, someone deserving of his help. So he gave this wounded man all he could and expected nothing in return. His attitude was, what's mine is yours, and I'm going to give it to you. Hence the Good Samaritan. One of the greatest revelations about your life is that when you follow Jesus, your life is not your own. You've been bought with a price. And you should see others as people to be loved because you have been so graciously and mercifully forgiven and loved by God. Giving more than you take begins with how you see others. Now, an interesting subchapter here. Watering camels. While Jesus certainly gave more than he took, we might assume it was easy for him because he's the Son of God. But living as a man during his time on earth, Jesus also inherited an ancestral legacy of giving that went all the way back to his great, and this continues for 3.5 lines, great grandmother to Rebekah, the wife of Isaac and mother of Jacob. Her story demonstrates the impact of giving more than you take. Genesis says that Abraham was getting old and wanted a good wife for his son, Isaac. So Abraham sent his chief servant to go and find one. Abraham didn't want Isaac, his only child, leaving home and possibly making the wrong selection. Abraham's servant left with 10 camels and all kinds of items to use in making a deal. Feeling the pressure of finding a woman worthy of his master's son and wondering how he'd know when he had, the servant prayed for a sign when he arrived at a well. Then he prayed, Lord God of my master Abraham, make me successful today and show kindness to my master Abraham. See, I'm standing beside this spring, and the daughters of the townspeople are coming out to draw water. May it be that when I say to a young woman, please let down your jar that I may have a drink, and she says, drink, and I'll water your camels too. Let her be the one that you've chosen for your servant, Isaac. By this I will know that you have shown kindness to my master. And they have that scene in was it the Ten Commandments, I believe, that scene. I do believe. This was quite a bold prayer. You see, camels drink on average around 20 gallons of water at the end of a long, hot day of traveling. Wow. The servant had 10 camels, so if a young woman offered not only to get a drink for him, but to water his camels, that was going way beyond what anyone would typically offer. Ah, so true. Sure enough, before he'd finished praying, Rebecca came out with her jar on her shoulder. The servant asked her for a drink of water, and she agreed and said she would water his camels as well. 10 camels drinking about 20 gallons each equals 200 gallons. This vast amount of water drawn with a 5-gallon jar would require about 40 trips to the well. Only after Rebecca demonstrated a giving spirit with no strings kindness, did she discover the servant's mission. She expected nothing in return, but was offered gold, jewelry, and a new husband. How about that? She had no idea how her act of generosity would change the rest of her life. And she lives, and the lives of generations after her. That just goes to show you never know what might happen when you water someone's camels. But that's not why you do it. You water them to serve, to give more than you take. So true. And again, I'm reading out of Jesus, the High Road Leader, John C. Maxwell and Chris Hodges. Great book. Great book. Enjoy reading it. Okay. Give more than you take. Giving starts in the heart. Because he possessed a heart to give, Jesus was willing to wash the dirty, dusty feet of his disciples, even those of Judas who would betray him that very night. Because Rebecca's spirit was right. She was willing to give more than was asked of her without expecting anything in return. Their examples remind us that giving more than you take begins with an attitude of generosity. That is the baseline, not a future goal. We might be tempted to say, if I won the lottery, then I would afford to be generous. Or if I were retired, then I'd afford to volunteer more of my time. High road leaders who give more than they take start with what they have, not what they might have someday. How true. Jesus, as well as his 37 times great-grandmother, was that how many times it was? 37 times great-grandmother, was willing to do something menial, something humbling and tiring without complaint. Rather than isolated acts, washing feet and watering camels reflected their character, their convictions, their core compassion. These acts exemplify high road leadership in action. Thing going on here, allergy thing. All right, so anyway, giving more than you take starts with the attitude of your heart, not a list of charities you support or the number of zeros in your donations. Every day you can give your attention, your interest, your compassion, and your wisdom to those around you. You can focus on investing in eternal intangibles rather than temporary possessions. You can follow the teachings of Jesus, who said, do not store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moths and vermin destroy, and where thieves break in and steal. But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where moths and vermin do not destroy, and where thieves do not break in and steal. That's from Matthew 6:19 and 20. He was not saying that earthly treasures wrong or bad, but that it simply will not last or hold value. The impact of your generosity, however, will outlive you. You never know the effect of an act of kindness can have for someone else, Jesus said. And if anyone gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones who is my disciple, truly I tell you, that person will certainly not lose their reward. High road leaders know that small acts of giving reap big rewards. They know that encouraging texts, emails, and phone calls can bless others. They know that going about above and beyond sets an example for everyone they're leading. Giving more than you take now also has a huge impact on the lives of others in the future, Jesus said. I sent you to reap what you have not worked for. Others have done the hard work, and you have reaped the benefits of their labor. You and I have benefited from the willingness of countless others who give more than they take, to humble themselves and to serve, to steward their blessings in order to be a blessing to others. High road leaders give more than they take, knowing the example they set can ignite others to give more themselves. This kind of giving is the ultimate in paying it forward. When you give like Jesus, you trust that your generosity will impact others for good. Second mile giving, as the chapter continues. Jesus did more than demonstrate the value of giving through his example. He also instructed on this principle in his teaching. In the Sermon on the Mount, he emphasized the importance not only giving more than you take, but of giving more than others expect. You've heard that it was said, eye for eye and tooth for tooth, but I tell you, do not resist an evil person. If anyone slaps you on the right cheek, turn to them the other cheek also. And if anyone wants to sue you or take your shirt, hand over your coat as well. If anyone forces you to go 1 mile, go with them 2 miles. Give to the one who asks you, and do not turn away from the one who wants to borrow from you. Citing the Old Testament law of eye for eye, Jesus turned our human understanding of fairness on its head by asking them to do what is probably counterintuitive for people. He challenged people to do more than is required of them when everyone naturally wants to do the least. He wanted us to do what was needed to get along with others and treat them like we want to be treated. What if others are not willing to treat us with the kindness we extend to them, you may wonder? What if they ask for more than we feel obliged to give? Jesus said to overwhelm them with generosity, to surprise them by exceeding their request. If they say they're entitled to your shirt, give them your shirt and your coat, too. If someone forces you to walk a mile and carry a heavy pack and armor, the way the Roman soldiers often conscripted citizens to do, and carry their burden not just 1 mile, but 2. Jesus, the ultimate high road leader, taught that giving more than you take attracts others' attention. High road leaders stand out because they go beyond what's required of them. They don't stand out when they do the bare minimum. They stand out because they give more than is reasonably expected. Jesus didn't say that the one who punches the best or hits the hardest wins the fight. No, he said to turn the other cheek. What will set you and me apart from the rest of the world is the other cheek and the second mile. Jesus asks us to give more than what's expected. He didn't ask you to treat others fairly. Jesus told us to take the high road and to give more, care more, do more than anyone would ever expect. Why? Because our actions say, this is where actions speak louder than words, I'm doing this first mile for you, but the second mile is only because of Jesus. When I go the second mile, you're going to see the Jesus in me. The second mile is where others feel it as well as see it. As followers of Christ, we should always be looking for ways to go the second mile, even before others are considering going the first. In the face of adversity, we should be kind instead of treating people in kind. When we do things When we do these things, we're being like Jesus, who went far beyond the second mile or any human measure in what he gave us. He gave his life so that everyone could be restored in relationship with his Father. Jesus not only told his followers, greater love has no one than this, to lay down one's life for one's friends. He actually did it. He demonstrated his love by laying down his life for you and me and everyone else. He set the example of being a high road leader who gives more than he takes. Never forget that when we give to the Lord and have the privilege of reflecting who God is, the ultimate giver. That is what Jesus expects us to do, and it is what we should strive to do every day. And that is chapter 3 from the book Jesus, the High Road Leader, from John C. Maxwell and Chris Hodges, copyright 2024. Very good. Very good. So, what do you get out of chapter 3? Well, basically, it's better to give than receive. Isn't that the bottom line? It's better to give than receive. Better for who? Better for you and them. You're the giver and they're the givee. Yeah. It's good for the givee. All right. So where are we? Let's see. Oh, we're coming up on an hour here. So this is a quickie. This is a quickie. So I'm glad that you chose to listen, learn a little bit. We say this after every meeting, whether it's AA, NA, Celebrate Recovery, keep coming back. Keep coming back. And this is just a part of recovery. Spirituality. You don't have to be religious. If you are, take your pick, choose your flavor. I have. I'm a believer in Jesus Christ, and I go to Celebrate Recovery. That's my recovery group. If you don't have to, there's NA, there's AA, there's treatment programs out there. If you have an addiction and you want sobriety and a better life, just do something about it, because it's all about recovery. Okay. On that note, God bless you. God bless our veterans. Remember, trust God, clean house, and help others. That's how you'll stay sober. And don't ever forget that somebody out there loves you. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye.